guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. This will be my last story that I'm doing here for the weekend. Like I said, I'm traveling up to visit family and to spread my dad's ashes. So I came across this study and I said, this is pretty apropos. This is a good story to talk about, considering I'm going to be taking care of my father's last wishes and sprinkling his ashes in a creek that he used to enjoy playing in with his friends when he was a kid. But study shows single dads do vastly better than single moms. And I think a lot of it has to do, and this is just my take on it. This is by an Alicia Jane from Medium.com, which is surprising. But it has a lot to do, I think, with stability. And we can talk about income stability. There's a lot of moms out there that are now making good money. Plus, they get child support. Plus, they get help from the government. So you'd think in many ways the women are more stable than men. But what it really boils down to, I think, is emotional stability. Dogs are the same way. I have a dog. He's very emotionally stable. And the dogs that are yippy and bite people and don't do well always seem to be owned by people that are not stable and that don't have a sense of stability in their life and their commands and the way that they direct their dogs. Well, kids are the same way. Not that they're dogs, but that they need boundaries. They need to know, okay, what are my limits? Because if it's limitless, kids go crazy. Just look at TikTok. But once they understand their boundaries, they're going to test them occasionally. They're going to push on them. I know this. I did this. I was a kid. But because of the stability, kids are doing better in single-father homes. So they say single-father households do vastly better than single-mother. Here's the real reason why. It's extraordinarily well documented how much of a disadvantage kids from single-mother households have over kids whose parents remain together. But less well documented is how much of a disadvantage they have over single-father households. Now, I have to watch some of these words because YouTube, so bear with me. But, for example, studies have found that kids from single-mother households are 5 times more likely to self-delete than children from unbroken households and single-father households. So they're saying that basically if it's single mom, it's worse than both the couple staying together or just dad. They're 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 10 times more likely to use illicit substances, 14 times more likely to commit the snuggle struggle, the unwanted love session, 20 times more likely to end up in jail, and 32 more times likely to run away from home. The list does not stop there. The single-mother households also account for 70% of all preteen pregnancies, 70% of all young people being ended, and they account for the majority of filicide cases, which means, yes, a kid living with a single mother is the most likely to be deleted by the parent is to a single mother. And I'll tell you, when I heard that, I was like, really? And then all I did is I typed in Google, kid ended by mom, search, and then I just hit in the last week. There's tons of news stories out there about it happening. Tons of them, tons and tons of them. So big old mama bears are going kind of crazy. Most at this point will probably think that the stepfather is the main ender of the kid. However, studies have found this to be false, and that step-parents are no more likely to end kids than their biological counterparts. So it's not stepdad that's taking out junior, it's mom, like biological mom, that's doing it. This means inevitably that single mothers are on the average the biggest enders of kids. Some studies even show that mothers are the biggest enders of kids overall, though it should be noted that others show it to be fathers, while others show men and women are equally likely to end the kids. So based on which study, and maybe that has to do with what country, maybe that has to do with what part of the country, of our own country, like what part of the world, what part of the country. It could be situational. Who knows? Although I will say this: if you throw in like the baby deletion statistics, mothers by far, hands down. Regardless of the dynamics of this complex point, all of this seems crazy considering the consensus is mothers make better parents on average than fathers, yet the data seemingly says otherwise. In fact, the only disadvantage to living with just your father rather than both of your parents appears to be that you're more likely to be promiscuous in adulthood, which isn't even a problem. Now, let me put a pin in that. Given all the other statistics that I read, about jail and about ending other people and about, forcing the old snuggle struggle on somebody, I will admit that promiscuity is the lowest or the least worrisome of all those things. However, for both men and women, there is a difference between the two, men being more promiscuous than women being more promiscuous. Sorry if you don't like to hear that, but there's a big, big difference because men are kind of built for that, and women, it shows it messes them up very badly. But if that is the only disadvantage, then it is better to just be with dad. And so it means mothers are not the best for the kids. They say, it's crazy. And as a mother, it makes no sense to me, mainly because it all seems to imply that men don't need women to raise children well, but women need men. The question is, what gives? Have we got it all wrong and fathers are actually the better parents? So, again, I think it boils down to fathers are better to laying down ground rules and not moving on them and not capitulating to a screaming, crying child, where my father was the same way. My father was the iron bar and my mother was the feather, and I could usually talk her into something. My father, not at all. So and then I'd say to my dad, I'm going over to spend the weekend at so-and-so's house. And he's like, says who? I'd say, Mom said I could go. Oh, she did? Yeah. Because you always go to Mom. Because moms are easier to convince. I'm her little baby boy. Dad didn't think that way. So he was like, the hell you are? You're going to help me around the house fixing stuff. They say many argue economics must be the difference. They're wrong. I'm not going to read down through this because I don't want to make this an hour long, but they argue the economics must be the difference, but they're wrong. It's not that. They say the devil is in the detail, and to understand what's going on, we must look at the details. We must break down the data. Let me see if I can find the snippet that says it. They say what's really going on. Firstly, it's much easier on average for a single father to fill his children's lives with strong and positive female influences than it is for a single mother to fill her children's with strong and positive male influences. Why is that? Because a single father who is strong and successful is still desirable. It's still desirable. Women who have kids, not desirable. Because the qualities that men have, which is income and being powerful and being successful and being strong and being a protector, well, that still holds true even if he's a father. Women, fertility, youth, beauty, etc., that goes away most of the time when she becomes a mother. So women do lose their value when they become moms. Dads don't, because theirs is not based on the physicality or the rest of it. They say whether it be the father's mother getting stuck in, whether it's the father's sister stepping in, whether it be a teacher, of which there are many options, mainly because female teachers greatly outnumber male teachers, whether it be all of the latter and more, the options available to men are just more prevalent, willing, and accessible. This matters because there's simply no escaping it. Children benefit greatly from having an equal number of positive male and female influences in their lives, yet women struggle more to create this world for their children after breaking up than men. Many struggle to create this world even when they're still with their men. And if you do think about this, like if you're a strong father, good strong family, or a good strong male role model at home, and then the kid goes off to school and he's got a female teacher, and then they go off to college and they got a female teacher there and the principal's female and whatever, at least they've got that rock at the house. Where kids, there's no male role models in a kid's life that has a female mother that has a mother at home, because the teacher's also a female and the counselor is also a woman, and they just don't have that male role model. They say this puts mothers at a disadvantage compared to fathers. They say here's why not only do single mothers struggle to find positive influences in the wider world, They struggle to find them in romantic world as well. This is because women are far happier to take on a man with children than men are to take on a woman with children. That's what I just said. Now, ironically, I have not read all the way through this, because if I read a 15-minute article and then I do a video on a 15-minute article, that's 30 minutes of my time. I got crap to do. I only read the beginning of this. But yeah, that makes sense. That's what I'm saying. She says, I would even go so far as saying women often find men with children more attractive than their childless counterparts. She says, I know I always have, whereas men typically find women with children less attractive. Not just that, biology also plays a part. Mothers, through their actions, tend to teach their sons to aspire for unconditional love from a partner, but it is hard to get that if the partner already has a child. Fathers, on the other hand, tend to, through their actions, teach their daughters to aspire for a partner who takes on responsibility. A man with a child tends to prove he is such a man. Yep, biology screws single mothers in love, but it gives single fathers a boost. Right. And again, that boils down to most men are going to teach their sons, hey, you want to be a good man. This is what my father taught me. Be a good man, be a strong man, be a responsible man, make sure she's happy, make sure that you take care of her and you do the right thing by her, and she should do the same for you. That was like where women are, and I know this from girlfriends, I know this from reading posts online. Women want the roughneck bad boy, but they also want him to be Prince Charming, but they also want him to be Hugh Hefner, but they also want him to be Henry Cavill, but they also want it, like, they want it all, and that's unrealistic. But women will teach that to their daughters, where men will be like, hey, you need a man that's not going to take advantage of you. You don't let him touch you in your no-no square until date 4, and you make sure he really is going to, and I want to meet him, and I want to see what's up. That's protecting the women, where moms are like, you do you, honey, and you go, boss girl. I'm not going to pour down the rest of this because, as you can see, there is a lot to this. This is on medium.com. So if you want to see it, it's medium.com. You can just do a web search for it. Single father households do better. That's how I found it. So there you go. And this is some of the studies that they actually have the statistics here. I did follow up and look at some of the studies that they cited. So there you go, man. Fathers and single men are not only more attractive, so it's easier for finding women in their lives and bringing those women into their lives, so that there's a better balance of male, men, and women's input into the child. But even without that, there's mom, there's sister, there's teacher. Not that teachers are great right now, but you know, there's other members in the community that will step up and take that role. And for a lot of single moms, they rely on outside sources, and there's just not enough masculinity in it. So I think it's interesting. I hope you guys do too as well. Guys, I'll leave it there. I will be, like I said, up in New York for the next couple of days, so I will be back doing live videos. I might even stream something if I catch a news story and want to talk about it. I may just upload that raw on the road. We will see how it goes. I'll leave it there, guys. We will see you in the next one.